Your Skin Structures tip of the week. Before you change your brand visuals, make sure you know what your brand actually stands for. A new logo, a new color palette, or a trendy Instagram aesthetic might make your business feel refreshed temporarily, but if those changes are not rooted in a clear identity, you may find yourself wanting to rebrand again in a few years. Your visuals should not just look pretty, they should communicate who you are, what your business values, how you want clients to feel, and what kind of experience they can expect from you. Trends can inspire you, but they should never become the foundation of your brand.
Welcome back to the Skin Structures. I'm Jolie.
And I'm Morgan. Today's episode is a little different because we are taking something I wrote for Dermoscope magazine and turning it into a conversation. The article came out in June of this year, and it was all about visual branding, visual identity, and how beauty business can build a brand that outlasts trends.
And this is such a good topic for estheticians, spa owners, med spa teams, solo providers, really anyone in the beauty industry, because our industry is so visual.
Exactly. Yeah, before a client ever even books an appointment, they've usually already interacted with your brand visually. They've seen your Instagram, they've seen your website, your before and afters, your treatment room. The list goes on and on. Maybe even a single photo someone shared online.
Yeah, and whether we like it or not, people are already forming opinions immediately. So they're deciding if you feel professional, trustworthy, clinical, warm, trendy, luxurious, educational, approachable. This is all within just a few seconds.
That's why visual identity matters so much. But the problem is that the beauty industry is also very trend driven. We see a certain aesthetic take off, and then suddenly everyone's Instagram is going to start looking exactly the same.
Yeah, the beige spa era.
Girl, I think I just got out of the beige spa era.
I know. Same.
Then there was the all-white clinical med spa era, or the earthy wellness branding era. None of those aesthetics are automatically bad, and I'm sorry if you're still in that era, but they can all be beautiful and effective when they actually align with the brand.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because the issue is when businesses adopt those visuals just because they're seeing everyone else do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what is called the trend trap. So the beauty industry has always been very visual, but the way clients encounter beauty brands has changed dramatically. Years ago, a client's first impression may have happened when they walked into your space or were referred to by a friend, but now that first impression happens online. They might see one reel or one treatment result, one graphic or a homepage, and then they instantly are going to start forming those opinions. They might not think consciously, oh, that typography makes you trust them, or oh, that color palette looks really calming. But those visual cues are still doing work.
And that's important because a lot of beauty professionals think branding is just about having a nice logo or pretty colors, but it really is so much more than that.
Yeah, it really is. Your visuals are going to communicate before you ever even say a word. They're telling the client what kind of experience they might have with you. Are you clinical and results driven? Are you soft and nurturing? Are you luxury focused? Are you educational, bold, modern, holistic, wellness centered?
And if your visuals are inconsistent, clients may not be able to explain exactly what feels off, but they can just feel it.
Yes, yeah. Inconsistency is going to create a lot of confusion. So if your website feels really clinical, your Instagram feels trendy and playful, while your treatment menu feels luxurious, and your in-spa signage feels completely different, that client may not know what your brand actually is.
And that lack of cohesion can make a business less memorable.
Yeah, and in a crowded industry, being memorable is going to really matter.
So let's break down the difference between visual branding and visual identity, because people use the terms interchangeably, but they're not exactly the same thing.
Yeah, so visual branding is what people see on the outside. It includes your logo, your color palette, fonts, photography style, graphics, your website layout, social media templates, your signage, and your marketing materials.
So basically the visible pieces of your brand.
Right. Yep. And then visual identity sits underneath that. It's the deeper foundation that informs those choices. Visual identity answers bigger questions like, what does your business believe about skin health? Or what kind of emotional experience do you want your clients to have? Do you position yourself around clinical experience, luxury, education, accessibility, ritual-based care, corrective treatments, or long-term skin health?
Okay. So visual branding is the expression and visual identity is the strategy behind it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. And when identity is clear, the design decisions become much, much easier. You're not just choosing a color because you like it. You're choosing it because it supports the emotional tone of the brand. And you're not choosing a font because it's trendy. You're choosing it because it communicates authority, softness, sophistication, warmth, or whatever feeling aligns with your identity.
Okay, that makes so much sense because without that identity piece, branding just becomes a collection of like preferences.
Yeah, and it's so easy to fall in that.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of beauty businesses get stuck. They start with design before they've clarified their identity. They hire someone to design a logo or pick colors from Pinterest. They choose a website template that feels current, or at first it may look polished, but over time that brand becomes hard to maintain because it was never anchored to something deeper.
Yeah, that was definitely something I struggled with when I was a solo provider, was my branding. And even when it came down to my name, like I changed it a couple of times.
Yeah. It's easy to do. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the trend trap because the beauty industry is especially vulnerable to this.
Absolutely. Yeah, aesthetic professionals are surrounded by visual inspiration all of the time. We're looking at treatment rooms, before and after photos, product flat lays, educational graphics, influencer content, med spa websites, social media trends constantly. And because platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest move so quickly, visual trends spread really fast. So one clinic creates a beautiful aesthetic, and if it gains traction, then suddenly dozens of other businesses start using similar colors, similar graphics, fonts, their interiors look the same, their language is similar.
And then everything starts blending together.
Exactly. That's the risk. So when everyone starts using the exact same visual, the same visual language, it becomes harder for clients to remember who's who.
Yeah. And kind of like what you said earlier, the beige minimal spa aesthetic is a great example because it was beautiful. It felt calm, it felt soft and elevated and just clean, but then it just became everywhere.
Yep, and again, beige minimalism isn't bad. Clinical white med spa branding's not bad. Earthy wellness branding, again, not bad, but the problem is adopting a look because it seems successful for someone else, not because it actually reflects your business.
Yeah, that was definitely something I struggled with, was like branding what I thought people wanted to see versus what I felt like had me and maybe some of my personality in there.
Yeah.
Even when it came down to like designing my room.
Yeah.
But because then the brand has that shorter shelf life with it.
And trends age really quickly. Identity is going to age well. So when a brand is built around a trend, it often starts to feel outdated as soon as the trend shifts. Then the owner feels like they need a full rebrand. They redo the logo, the colors, the website, the graphics, and for a while it feels fresh again. But if the deeper identity still has not been clarified, that same thing happens a few years later.
Yeah, so the business is going to get stuck in that rebranding cycle.
Yep. And the issue was never just the logo or the colors. The issue was that the visuals were built around what was popular instead of what's true.
One of my favorite comparisons from the article is that visual identity is like personal style.
Yep, I love that. Yeah, so I love that comparison because most people understand it instantly. Someone with a strong personal style can still participate in trends, sure, but they do not lose themselves in them. They might add a trendy shoe or color, accessory, or silhouette, but their overall look still feels like them. Their style evolves, but it remains recognizable.
Yeah, and someone without a clear personal style may feel like they are constantly reinventing themselves based on just whatever is popular.
Exactly. Yeah, so brand identity works the same way. A brand with a very clear identity can evolve without becoming unrecognizable. You can update photography, refresh your website and your graphics. You can even modernize your layout, but the core feeling stays the same.
Yeah, I think that's a super helpful way to think about it because brands do need to evolve. You are not saying never change anything at all.
Not at all. Nope. So staying stagnant is not the goal here. The goal is to evolve without losing recognition.
So instead of asking, what aesthetic is trending right now, a better question would be what visual choices feel true to us?
Yeah, that's a great question. Another great question would be if someone removed our logo, would our brand still feel recognizable?
That's powerful. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, because if the only recognizable part of your brand is your logo, then your visual identity may not be strong enough yet.
So if someone is listening and thinking, okay, I actually do not know if my visual identity is clear, where should they start?
The first place to start is not Canva. Or Pinterest or a mood board. It's clarity.
Yeah.
You have to understand what truly defines your practice. What are your values? What's your point of view? Who are you serving and what do you want clients to feel when they interact with your brand?
Okay, so let's break those down then.
So first, define your core values. Every beauty business has values, whether they have formally named them out or not. Some businesses are built around luxury and exclusivity. Some are built around education and accessibility. Some are more, highly clinical, results driven. And then others are rooted in relaxation, ritual, and holistic wellness. None of them are better than the other. What matters is that you're very clear and you're consistent with that core value.
Because a luxury-driven brand and an accessibility-driven brand may make totally different visual choices.
Exactly. A luxury brand might use more refined typography or spacious layouts, elevated photography, and a more curated tone, while an educated driven brand would use, crystal clear graphics, more approachable language and visuals that make information just feel easy to understand.
And both can be beautiful. They're just communicating different things.
Yeah. And then the second step is clarifying your point of view. What do you believe about skin? Do you prioritize barrier repair? Do you believe in prevention over correction? Are you passionate about ingredient education? Do you focus on long-term skin health instead of quick fixes? Your point of view should show up visually. If you believe in real skin and transparency, your photography style should probably reflect that, right? If your brand is built on clinical outcomes, your visuals may need to feel more structured, clean, and authoritative.
The visuals should support the philosophy.
Right. Yep. And then the third step is understanding your ideal client visually. So a lot of people define their ideal client by age, income, or location, but visual preferences matter too. What makes your client feel comfortable? What kind of space would they trust? What kind of visuals make them feel safe, excited, inspired, or understood?
Because the branding is not just for that provider, it's also for the client.
Yep, and that leads into the fourth step, which is auditing your current visuals. So look at your website, your Instagram, your email graphics. Look at your printed materials like your treatment menu, your signage, even your retail shelves and treatment rooms, and ask yourself while looking at them, does this all feel connected? Does it reflect who we are now? What still feels aligned? What feels borrowed from a trend? What feels outdated? What feels confusing?
Okay, I love that. That's such a eye-opening exercise.
Yes. Yeah, it really can be. And it does not always mean you need to throw everything away.
Yeah.
Again, that's chasing the trend. Sometimes a visual audit shows you what's working and what just needs refinement.
Yeah. So once a business has that identity clarity, how does that turn into like actual visuals?
So this is where the design becomes translation. The identity is the message, and the visuals are how that message gets expressed. Colors, one example. Warm colors can often feel nurturing, inviting, or energetic, while cooler colors are going to feel more calm, trustworthy, or clinical. And then muted colors are going to feel very soft and refined, while high contrast colors are more bold and modern.
Yeah. And then typography is going to matter here too.
Yeah, definitely. So fonts have personality. So softer typefaces may feel elegant or personal, while the more structured fonts may feel more authoritative or clinical. And a delicate serif font communicates something very different than a bold sans serif font.
So photography is huge in aesthetics too.
Oh yeah, huge. Yeah, photography style can build or break trust, really. If your brand values transparency, real skin, real results, overly polished stock photos, that's not communicating that. If your brand is luxury focused, highly styled photography may make sense. Again, it goes back to that identity point.
And then layouts play a role too, right?
Yeah, so minimal layouts can create very calm and clarity. More expressive layouts can communicate creativity and energy. Dense layouts can feel overwhelming if they're not done well, but they can also work for more education-heavy brands when you organize them clearly. The goal is not just to make everything attractive. The goal is to create a very cohesive visual language.
I love that term, visual language.
Yes. Yeah, because that's what branding is. It's a language.
Yeah.
Your website, your social media, your signage, your treatment menu, your consultation materials, your retail displays, all of those should be speaking the same language.
And one thing I think a lot of business owners need to hear is that you can evolve without fully rebranding.
Yeah. Yep. Strong visual identity gives you longevity. You do not need to completely start over every few years. You just refine it. Maybe your colors need slight adjustment, or maybe your photography needs to feel more current. Or maybe your website layout needs to be modernized. Maybe your graphics need better consistency. Those are all just refinements.
And that's very different from throwing everything away and starting over from scratch.
Yeah. Yeah, when brands are constantly rebranding, they're going to lose that recognition. And clients benefit from consistency. Familiar visuals build trust over time.
And in a market where so many brands look so similar, consistency can actually become a competitive advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. Longevity builds recognition, and recognition builds trust. Trust builds loyalty.
During this whole episode, I mean, I think one brand that obviously comes to mind, and we're probably biased, is Boss Gal Beauty Bar. I mean, their brand is just so cohesive. And yes, even when they do, refresh the spas, it's still very
Boss Gal.
Very Boss Gal. You know what their brand is. You can point out a billboard without actually seeing what their logo on there yet. Like, it's a Boss Gal.
Yeah,
branded
absolutely.
thing.
I agree.
So let's talk about common mistakes, because I think this is where a lot of listeners will recognize themselves.
Yeah, one of the biggest mistakes is designing for peers instead of clients. So sometimes providers are choosing their visuals because they want other estheticians or med spa professionals to think their brand looks impressive.
But those aren't necessarily your client.
No, that's your competition, girl.
Right. Yeah.
Your branding should resonate with the people you serve. Not just the people in your industry. Another mistake is letting the designer lead the entire process without enough strategic input from the business. Designers are incredibly valuable, but they need direction. They need to understand your values, your philosophy, your client experience, and your goals.
Yeah, otherwise you might get something beautiful that still just does not feel like you.
Yeah, another common mistake is copying your competitors. This happens a lot in our industry. A business sees another clinic doing well and assumes, oh, if I just adopt a similar aesthetic, we'll get the similar results.
Yeah, but then there's no differentiation.
Exactly. And clients may not remember you because you look like everyone else.
Yeah.
Another mistake is misunderstanding minimalism. So clean design can be super powerful, but if you remove too much personality, your brand is going to become forgettable.
Yeah, that's such a good point because minimal does not have to mean completely empty.
Right. Yep. Minimalism should create clarity, not erase your identity. And the final mistake is forgetting that branding extends beyond digital spaces. So your brand's not just your Instagram feed, it's your front desk, your treatment rooms, your consultation forms, your product displays, your signage, your uniforms, your lighting, your printed materials. It goes on and on and on and on. It's how all of those pieces feel together.
The in-person experience has to match that online experience.
Exactly. Yeah, and if your Instagram feels luxurious and elevated, but your client walks in and notices that your physical space feels disconnected or cluttered, the client feels that.
Right. So before someone decides they need a full rebrand, what should they ask themselves?
I would start with these questions. What do we truly stand for as practitioners? What kind of experience do we want clients to have in our space? What do we believe about skin health, aging, prevention, correction, and client education? What emotions do we want our visuals to create? And are we changing this because it no longer reflects us or because we're bored? You know, are we inspired by a trend or are we chasing it?
Yeah.
And lastly, if our logo disappeared, would our brand still feel recognizable?
That question about being bored is important because sometimes business owners just get tired of looking at their own branding.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I know I did at one point.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and that doesn't mean that branding's not working. Sometimes the audience still recognizes and trusts it, but the owner's ready for something new because they see it every single day.
Yeah. So it's important to separate personal boredom from actual brand misalignment.
Yes. Yep. There is a difference between needing refinement and needing a full rebrand.
So let's give our listeners some homework this week.
Okay, so this week I want you to do a mini visual audit of your brand. Choose 5 places where your brand shows up visually. That could be your Instagram, your website, your treatment menu, consultation forms, signage, retail area, your email graphics, or even your treatment room. Then ask yourself, do these 5 pieces feel like they belong to the same brand?
And if they do not immediately jump into redesign mode. First, ask why.
Exactly. Yeah. Is it an issue with the color or the font, the photography? Do I need to adjust the tone, the layout, the message? Or is this a deeper issue that you've not clearly defined the identity underneath the visuals?
And then choose one area to refine.
Not everything has to be fixed at once. Start with clarity, then move into consistency.
I love this conversation because branding is one of those topics that can feel pretty surface level, but it's really not.
Not at all. Nope. Strong branding is not about chasing attention. It's about creating recognition, trust, and alignment.
And in the beauty industry where trends are moving so quickly and having a clear identity is what really helps that brand stay grounded.
Yeah, trends will always come and go. Some will inspire us and some may even fit beautifully into our brands, but they can't be the foundation. A strong brand does not feel like constantly reinventing itself. It feels like coming home to who you already are. Thanks so much for listening to the Skin Instructors. Make sure you subscribe, follow us on Instagram at ST Training, and visit www.sttraining.com to subscribe to our monthly subscription. As always, don't hesitate to educate.